Welcome back to the SEC Baseball Nerds Podcast. I'm Patrick Brown.
And I'm Daniel Helms, and this is where we talk all things SEC baseball. So today we have a special guest for y'all, the Associate Athletic Director of the University of South Carolina, and we'd like to ask him a few questions. If you would be willing to turn on your camera, please.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello. Patrick, would you like to start off with the first question?
Yes, I would. First off, thanks for joining us. First question
Thanks
I
for having
have
me.
is, can you tell the viewers exactly what you do at South Carolina?
So I'm the Associate AD for Revenue Generation, which basically means I'm in charge of season ticket sales and managing all of making sure people are in the building every time we have a home event.
Nice.
We have a few baseball related questions as well. I'm sure you probably know about the protests that happened against LSU a couple days ago. Can you explain that rule to the viewers? Because a lot of people don't understand actually what went on.
Yeah, it's a really unique rule. It doesn't really happen a lot, but basically because we were stealing home, the pitcher was still pitching a pitch, and the rule is because he's pitching a actual pitch, the catcher has to be behind the plate and cannot step on the plate or in front of the plate before he receives the baseball. LSU decided to protest the call, but the director of officials for the SEC actually came on during the broadcast and explained some of the ways a protest works. And what's really interesting is that a protest can only be upheld not in the interpretation of whether or not the rule was violated, but whether or not the rule was implemented correctly. So as the rule states, if you decide that this happens, the batter gets first base, and the runner from third scores, and that's what the officials did. So there's nothing that the protest could do to say that the rule was applied incorrectly, and the interpretation of whether or not the catcher stepped on the plate or off the plate is not what would determine whether a protest is upheld or not.
Thank you for that amazing response. We also, another baseball related question. Since we did so good in Hoover, what seed do you think we've put ourselves at a 2 seed? Like, what seed do you think we have now?
Yeah, I think we'll probably still end up as around a 2 seed. What regional it is going to be announced today shortly. But everything internally that we've heard, it says that we'll probably be a 2 seed. I think if we had won Saturday and pulled off a championship on Sunday, maybe we're having a different conversation. But with what we did in the tournament and fixing that losing streak, I think we solidified a 2 seed, and today we'll find out where we go.
All right.
I know you don't necessarily know where we're going to go, but most places have us projected to the Chapel Hill Regional with North Carolina, us at the 2 seed, UNC Wilmington at the 3 seed, and Sacred Heart at the 4 seed. Does that sound about where you think we'll be at?
Yeah, I think it sounds mostly accurate. I know the committee tries to do a good job of keeping regional opponents in as close to their home as possible. So something like Chapel Hill, I know in the past Clemson has been mentioned a couple of times, but keeping us close to the Southeast is likely, especially when you're a 2 seed. If you're a 4 seed who just won your conference tournament and you're in, but there's no teams that are a national host that are close to you, then you're probably gonna have to travel pretty far. But for the other regions, they try to keep you close if they can to where your home base is.
Thank you for your time. That was amazing.
Thanks for having me, guys, and good luck with the rest of the pod.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate him coming on. So we discussed, we never really got a chance to talk about the SEC tournament. South Carolina loses to LSU once again, 12-11. What are your takes on this? What was a very controversial but a great game at the same time, Daniel?
This was an amazing game from a normal fan standpoint, especially from an LSU fan, but a normal fan who doesn't have any ties to any team. This would be an amazing game. But for South Carolina fans, this was downright horrible. I don't know how in the world we blew an 8-run lead. I don't know how that happened because that was just so utterly bad. Like, we allowed a 6-run fourth, but yet you rarely ever see like a blown lead to where the other team still scores a lot after they start blowing the lead. Like, it's not like we didn't just lose like 9-8. No, we lost 12-11, meaning we scored 4 runs after the 8. Or no, 3 runs after the 8. So like we should not have blown that lead.
No, very frustrating. Scored 1 in the second, 3 in the third, 4 in the fourth. Then OSU got 6 in the fourth. They got 1 in the sixth, 2 in the seventh, 1 in the ninth, and 2 in the 10th. You share with me a stat. I want you to read that out loud. How Cole Messina did this tournament. It's just unbelievable, quite frankly. But I want you to discuss that.
Sure. He went 9 for 16, so above 500 with 4 home runs and a record-breaking SEC tournament 16 RBIs. So he quite possibly, this was only done in 5 games, so not even the full 6 games. He quite possibly could have had the greatest SEC tournament of all time if they didn't intentionally. Well, yes, this also is kind of cool that he got intentionally walked like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So he quite possibly just had the greatest SEC tournament of all time, and he was the only reason, in my opinion, that we ever made the semifinals in the first place.
Even though I'm frustrated we lost, I'm really proud of this group. Round 1, we're talking about it. We're like, will we get in 3 seed? Maybe, who knows? And hey, we bumped ourselves up to 2 seed. Frustrated we cannot have won it all. Tennessee beat LSU yesterday to win the SEC championship 4-3. The Vols, number 1 team in the nation, should be number 1 overall seed come tournament time. I mean, it's a great volunteer team, great LSU team. Credit to both of them.
And I want to talk about who we beat because we might not have, if we had an easy path. I mean, there is no easy path in the SEC, but an easy path to the semifinals, so we never had to face someone like Arkansas or Kentucky. I don't think we would have been bumping ourselves up to a 2 seed. But in the way the people that we beat, we didn't just beat Alabama, Ole Miss, and say Vanderbilt. We beat Alabama, Arkansas, and Kentucky, 2 top 5 teams. So I'm really proud of ourselves for that. I don't get why we couldn't get over the hump over LSU, though. It might have been the Braswell curse.
Yeah, LSU is just one of those teams that you match up well with them, but you just can't get over the hump, and it's really frustrating. But proud of these group of guys. Mark Kingston said he's so proud of them. I mean, just for this kind of run to happen was really amazing. And I guess you called it. You said the farthest we would go was the semifinals. Sadly, you were correct on that, but this group just really rallied together, and I think this will really help them propel come NCAA tournament, because after losing 6 straight games, it's really hard to bounce back and say, hey, we're going to make it to the semis of the SEC tournament. We know how deep this league is, and credit to LSU, Vanderbilt, and us. We were 8, 10, and 11. Nobody really expected us to make a run, and all 3 of those teams are going to be 2 seeds now. They up their stock from maybe not making the tournament, so now they're high 2 seeds.
I completely agree. So, if anyone, do you think? So I kind of forgot about the first round. When you go so far into the tournament, you kind of forget about the first round for a bit. But I want to go back with all these borderline teams, all actually across the nation in the conference tournaments, all these borderline teams making deep runs. Do you think some teams like Florida and stuff like that could, maybe get out of the tournament because of all these deep runs made by borderline teams?
That's a good point. I don't think it will happen. Florida and Alabama both projected as 3 seeds. I think that's where they will lie. But no, I do not believe so. I think they've still had very good seasons, and that it's just Carolina, LSU, and Vanderbilt have had a really good tournament. These other teams, they're fighting. We talk about it sometimes. The higher seeds sometimes don't possibly care as much as these lower seed teams. Tennessee was obviously not that. They did come out the losers bracket, though, to win this SEC tournament. But I still think Florida and Alabama will still stay at 3 seeds as they are projected.
I agree, but I was more talking about teams from other conferences who may have been hurt by performances like these from around the country. There's a lot of deep runs from around the country by lower seed teams. I was wondering if maybe some ACC or Big 12 teams and stuff like that maybe kicked out.
I think that could definitely be the case, because your SEC is a deep conference, so people see, hey, South Carolina has a great RPI, LSU played this great team. ACC, Big 12, I'm not hating on those conferences, but they aren't as good of a conference. So if they see this team's kind of on the borderline, but then they see a team like Alabama or Florida who's played better competition, they're going to go with the SEC team. So I think these deeper runs from these not as good teams definitely could hurt some of these lower end teams.
That was a great way to say it. So I want to just celebrate on Tennessee a little bit. As you said, most high seeds care a little bit less in these big tournaments because they know they're having a 1 seed host anyways, probably top 8. I like the fact that Tennessee did not just rest some of their guys or do something weird like that. I like the fact that they wanted to go for an SEC championship because fans, they want SEC championships. Like they don't. It's not like they don't care about the SEC championship. It's a cool trophy to have in your trophy room. So, like, I'm glad that Tennessee did not just not try because it made the tournament a whole lot more exciting.
Yeah, for real. This has been one of the more better SEC tournaments I've remember past memory. There's been so much great catches, home runs, walk-offs. I mean, it feels like every game has been close, man. And this has really been an entertaining SEC tournament. Credit to both Tennessee and LSU. But Tennessee really fighting hard. They could have been like, all right, we made it to the semi, something like that. Well, we're not going to really put in our best pitchers. We'll save them for the regional. We want to go to Omaha. But no, they said, this is important to our fan base. This is important to the SEC. And I think teams like this really matter to the SEC. We talk about it in college football with bowl games, sitting your starters sit out so they can go to the NFL, don't want to get hurt. But that takes away from the sport. And so Tennessee actually trying and putting in great players gives the sport something exciting to watch. They saw an amazing game, a 4-3 win from Tennessee. So credit to Tennessee and Tony Vitello. I mean, that's a great ball club he's developed. I saw a stat yesterday when I was going bowling. Tennessee, from 1997 to 2013, I think, they had about 7 SEC wins. But in the last 3 years, they've had 14 SEC tournament wins. I mean, this is just amazing. And Tennessee's been one of the better baseball teams in recent memory.
That's really crazy. Tennessee is usually good, very, very good in most sports, and they really showed it here. And it really hopes to grow the sport of college baseball because at the college level, baseball is not like they're the 4th most popular sport in the college level behind football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. So, it really helps when a big team like this does not try to rest players and stuff like that to help grow the sport of college baseball.
Yeah, and it makes it more exciting for our fan base. Really excites us to watch these type of games, and it's just fun to watch. South Carolina went with a bold take yesterday. 2 days ago, excuse me. Started Roman Kimball. He didn't play awful. He went 3.2 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Why did Carolina go with Roman Kimball, and why did we go with lousier bullpen options after Kimball?
This is just how Kingston is. I just don't know why Kingston is like this with the pitchers. It's like he almost thought like, oh, it's LSU. We had an 8-run lead. It's going to be automatic. Well, obviously it's not Kingston. And I don't like it when Kingston does not try to pile on runs when we have a big lead because this is exactly what happens. We use some of our worst pitching options and we blew an 8-run lead and it was really disappointing to see. So I like Kingston as a coach and he makes good decisions all the time, but when it comes to these big leads, we need to somehow find a way to hold them. Like even if the players did play bad, eventually you have to think like it's an 8-run lead. The coach has something to do with that.
Yeah, you put in Sam Simpson for 2 innings. Sam Simpson's pitched, I think, 2 innings this year. He's been awful. And you're going to put him in an SEC tournament semifinal against LSU when you have a good lead. Like, I just don't understand what he's thinking. Ty Good could have come into this game. He not touched the baseball. Listen, you got plenty of rest before the regionals. There's no excuse. I know you might want to save them, but you got to put in your best quality to win that game. You're not sure there's going to be an tomorrow, so act like today's the last day and pitch everyone you can.
To be honest, we should have used Ty Good, Chris Beach. Partner Marlott may have been a better option than Sam Simpson in that situation. We should have used maybe Pitzer, I don't know. We should have used greater guys. We definitely should not have started Roman Kimball because I like Roman Kimball, also a fellow YouTuber. He has a great YouTube channel. But we needed to win this game. We needed to put in our best options, and it just obviously didn't go well with what we did.
Let me give you a stat here. We talk about Roman Kimball walking a ton of people. He threw 75 pitches. Only 44 of those were strikes. Now, he did only have 2 walks today, 2 strikeouts. But, I mean, this isn't great from Roman Kimball. And LSU's pitcher threw 58 pitches, 35 strikes. I mean, it's just unacceptable for Kimball to be struggling in 3-2 counts all the time. You lose games if you walk tons of batters. And this is something Kimball struggles with every single game.
You don't also just lose because of walks. Like the walks are one thing with the ball, but when they're constantly in a 2-0, 3-1, 3-0 count, it really hurts because then you have to force fastballs right down the middle, and the other team can just pound them wherever they want. So like it when you're in those terrible counts, like I'm sorry, but this is very overlooked how important the count is for the sport of baseball. Because I used to play baseball, and I remember the difference it would make when I was in an 0-2 count versus like a 3-1 count was enormous. Like I bet you if I was in a 3-1 count, you would probably see a double. If I was in an 0-2 count, I was striking out. So like it really does make a difference.
Yeah, honestly, it really does. And this is something the whole pitching staff needs to figure out. Selection shows at 12 today, so about in a couple hours here. Sorry we're a little late with pushing this video. We had some things going on yesterday. I really hope we can get in this Chapel Hill regional. I think we already beat North Carolina this year, 2-1. I just feel like North Carolina is one of the better regionals we could be at. You can also state Clemson's one of the better regionals we could
Yep.
be at. So those are the 2 teams I'm hoping for. Are you kind of hoping for that same amount of teams?
I want those 2 teams because, to be honest, the 2 reasons I want those teams is for North Carolina, we've already beat them once, so we can show that we can beat them, and that would be really helpful if we got into a region we beat. And for Clemson, I want that Clemson revenge so bad because, as we all know, that Clemson did not want to play. They did not want to. We did not play the extra makeup game at Founders Park to finish out the series. They won 2-0 in the series against us. And I want that revenge so bad. I want to talk a praise about LSU a little bit. Fun question. So they lost by 1 in the championship, blew out the first 2 teams they played, and then had come from behind victories against us. What do you think LSU may have had the greatest tournament to not win the tournament?
I would have to go back and check, but I think it could be frankly possible. I mean, this group is resilient. This group played really well. We were talking about, I don't know if LSU will make tournament 3, 4 seed question mark. They didn't care what the outside world was saying. They came in, they blew everybody out. Then they said, okay, we're losing to Carolina. We'll come back and we'll win this ball game. You know, they couldn't finish against Tennessee. Credit to Tennessee, and they're number 1 team in the nation. Great ball club. But I think LSU had one of the true remarkable runs that we've seen in Hoover as of late, and especially not to win it. So congrats to LSU, Jay Johnson, every one of their players. They truly deserve what they did, and best of luck to them in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I definitely will be cheering for them a little bit. I will be cheering for every SEC team over the other conferences because I love the SEC. I think the SEC is the best in basically every sport. But I liked the way that they played in Hoover, and the only reason they lost was because they had to face Tennessee in the end. If they had gotten Vanderbilt instead of Tennessee, I think they most definitely would have won the tournament.
Yeah. I think we're going to wrap things up here. Selection show will be at 12. We'll try to get an episode out for you soon to preview the selection of what regional we'll be in. Hopefully we get a good draw. Thanks to Dan Stahl for coming on today. Daniel, anything you want to wrap up saying with?
No, I think I'm good. Thank
All
you
right,
for coming on. 6th episode.
Yeah, thank you all for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, 5 stars. I'm Patrick Brown.
And I'm Daniel Holmes, and thank you for listening to the 6th episode of SEC Baseball Nerds.